What's up, friends? Today we're checking out Fukashigi no Carte from Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. It's the ending. This is one of my favorite songs from Japanese media, and I really like a lot of things it does. So it's going to be a slightly more in-depth breakdown as we're reacting to this, looking at modes used, musical theory, etc. So expect a lot of pauses as we go over all these different elements and really kind of break the song down. I'm a producer, songwriter, rapper. In fact, I just made a rap, hip-hop remix version of this song where I rap about the first arc of the show. So if you're interested in checking that out, I highly recommend that. I'll have a link at the end of the video. Okay, let's get into this. So I think this song is really interesting because of its use of a classical string intro paired with these very cute and innocent sounding vocal performances. There's a long history in Japan of mixing classical with jazz, and big band jazz was well known to use kind of these big string arrangements throughout its compositions. So it's not something completely foreign to jazz or to popular Japanese music. We see it especially in the city pop genre. Although this song deviates significantly from the city pop genre, it still utilizes a lot of those jazz chords. I think the sound of this song initially is actually most similar to the work of someone like Joe Hisaishi, who is the composer behind a lot of the Studio Ghibli films. But I really like what's going on in terms of the overall sonics of the song. Okay, just looking at that very beginning part. So the song is in either D melodic minor or G Lydian dominant, depending on your perspective of how that opening melody works, because the melody does start with a D. It goes like that, D, A, G. But the first chord that we hear is a G minor 9. So which one is it? It's kind of hard to say, but you can kind of choose how you want to phrase this song. I really like that descent at the end of the chorus because it has a lot of these really rich and colorful diminished chords and flat 7 chords that kind of move down chromatically with the bass notes. And so it creates this really nice sense of flow and movement while still being a little bit off-putting. There's also another moment at the beginning of the chorus where the vocal hits a C, but the chord is a C sharp minor or an A major 7, but the vocal is hitting a C, which is 1/2 step away from that chord, and it's not the same 7 if it's an A major 7, and so it's creating this slight bit of discord right when we hit that top high note. And I feel like that discord in the vocal is really reflective of this kind of mysterious and otherworldly kind of ethereal feel that we're getting for the whole song. This part of the song is a lot more classically what we would expect from a jazz arrangement. We've got drums, bass, piano, and a vibraphone, or not a vibraphone, it would be a glockenspiel, playing those kind of high bell notes. And those are all instruments that you actually pretty commonly hear in jazz arrangements, especially Spanish-infused jazz arrangements. So none of that feels weird. And having a vocal line on top of it, it's just kind of standard. And there's this swung tempo that is also very common, very expected in the jazz genre. I think it's really interesting that during this part of the song, when we return to the chorus after going through the chorus for the first time, we're emulating that really interesting string arrangement with those really colorful chords by having the vocals do a kind of pad string type of thing that has this really even flowy thing with those background vocals. So we have those fun ahs that go throughout that beginning portion of the song. I really like that little portion of the song. I think it's kind of an underrated portion, and I use that as a sample in the very last verse of my rap that I made. Here's a little thing of that.
Fall, I'm bad at faces, but I want yours to be all I can see when I close my eyes at night.
And I liked kind of that repeating chord thing I did. Once I did it, I was like, oh man, I feel like it should just be like kind of part of the song. So one of my favorite little sections. I like a good piano solo, so I'm a sucker. Man, the instrumentation in this song is so crazy. Is that a theremin? That like fluty sounding thing, it doesn't sound quite like a synth. It sounds like they're using a theremin specifically, which if they are is super freaking rad. Theremins were kind of first heard in popular music from the Beach Boys, who utilized a lot of really, really interesting sonic and compositional techniques. So it's always fun to hear that type of thing used in a song. Oh no. Oh, they're using a theremin and another instrument. There's the theremin sound. Okay. I really like how that piano comes back in right there, because the piano leaves for that whole chorus, which is such a fun decision. You know, ever since the piano's come in for that first verse, we haven't seen it leave, and then it leaves for that third chorus, just completely gone, which creates a really interesting contrast and a really interesting sonic atmosphere for us to be in, right? And I think as we, produce songs and as we approach those things, it's really fascinating to think, okay, what happens when we take something away? What happens when we've had something for a while and then we take it away? It's not always about, let's add another instrument, especially in pop music. It's very much about, okay, we've had these instruments for a while. Now what happens when we take one away? What happens when we take away the drums? What happens when we take away the piano? What happens when we take away this instrument or that instrument? How does it change the impression of the song? And how does it make more room for other instruments or other elements of the sonic atmosphere that we've created? Oh, that key change right there is so sick, and it's so flawless because we've already heard that kind of chromatic step change earlier in the song. So when it's used here to take us into another key, it feels really natural and it feels like something we would expect from the song, but we don't expect where it takes us. And so it becomes surprising in that aspect because anyone can do a key change, but not everyone can foreshadow that key change and make it feel natural and obvious. Back. Just a bridge key change. We've got a melodica. I thought I heard it in the second verse, and it's back for this final chorus, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of the melodica. It's my favorite instrument, so love to hear it in its full body here. Ooh. Key change. Brilliant. Such a great song, such a cool melody. I love so many things about it. I love the surprising ways that it takes us throughout the entire song. Even just the way that the original chorus melody ends by going to that C sharp instead of that C, which is kind of that raised seventh, indicating the melodic minor, or the dominant Lydian, is so fun. We love it. Love it. Yeah, huge fan of this song. Highly recommend checking out the anime itself because it gives off the exact same kind of mysterious but cute vibes, which is not a specific combination that we see all of the time. I tried to capture that same vibe in my song that I put out, which is a remix of this. I call it Invisible Girl. It's just a little rap. So I hope you'll check that out if you'd be so kind. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you so much. Catch you on the flip.
Slowly disappearing from sight like a star unseen in the pale moonlight.